Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse New Year's Eve pregame special show with Quis of Sports Vibes TV and Steven Foxy Fox of Sports Talk with the Fox and Sports Vibe TV and the Syndicate.
Yo,
I don't think anyone knows what the Syndicate is. It's just
we're still running with it.
We run with it. It's for us. It's for ourselves. And welcome to everyone for joining us. Thank you guys so much. I hope everyone's having a great New Year's Eve. You know, I hope everyone's pre-gaming. I am right now.
Word.
All right. Well, first and foremost, the big topic of discussion is Julius Randle is out. And like I said yesterday in the special video that I dropped, I hope it's a mild case. He basically ends up just getting a lot of rest. Let's hope. I've had a couple cousins that got it, and you know, it seems like it's something you can manage. You know, you can deal with. It's a pain, of course, but it's not the end of everything. So thank God for that. And but it has created a lot of opportunities for certain players. Actually, for almost every single player on this team, actually, it shifted the roles of every single player on this team right now. We're going to get into that. But first, I want to let you guys, share your feelings about the situation that we're in now, the last game that we had. If there's any parting thoughts that you guys had about it, or any ideas that you came up with since then, or whatever you want to share with the group. I will start with the man with the really nice and toasty little beanie.
Yeah, you don't want to see what's under this beanie.
Ba-doom, boom.
Had to throw it all real quick. But yeah, I mean, the last time we saw the Knicks, it wasn't an encouraging sight. I mean, we're on a win streak, but it really doesn't feel like that. You know, we were going up against sub competition. We allowed players like, Saddiq Bey, who we mentioned in the pregame, could go off. He went off. Diallo went off. It was basically the two-man show. And now that, Julius Randle is unavailable, like you said, George, is going to allow players like Obi Toppin to step up. We saw in that game, the bench mob was doing what they normally do. They were running opposing teams' second units off the court. And with a depleted team like that we saw out there, we were running the starters off the court as well. And unfortunately, the starters are still bogged down. And with this change, it's going to allow us to take a player out. It's like an experiment. You remove one variable, swap it out, and see if that allows things to change. But I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more. I don't want to jump the gun too quickly.
All right. And Foxy, any thoughts you've had about the Pistons game itself?
Just glad it's over with and we could think ahead. It was so negative. Just real quick, salute to you, salute to Keith, salute to the chat, salute to the Knicks into the Knicks-Verse family, and shout out to the Sports Vibe family. Woof! SV Nation. Man, am I getting confused from all that brown juice today? Everything's good, man.
Foxy's been pre-gaming.
I've been pre-gaming. And
pre-game
thank God.
Before the pre-game.
Yeah.
You got that right. I think one of the things that I keep smiling about is Miles McBride. No points and a plus 39. So talking
That's
about
gotta be a record.
It has to be a record.
No one's come out and told us yet, though.
Yeah. So so that really, and it was really a tale of two different teams. If you look at the first team, -29 for RJ and Julius, -27, -22 for Quentin Grimes, -21 for Kemba Walker. But then on the second team, plus 39 for Miles, as we just said, plus 27 for Quick, 31 for Taj. So it was amazing, one team versus the other. So I'm looking forward to, first of all, get better, Julius. A lot of us from an analysis standpoint can't talk tonight. Got a little upset with body language and other things, but one thing is basketball, another thing is life, and we just hope he gets better quickly, his family's safe, and just got to keep it real about perspective. And so take the emotions of being a fan out of it and just being a good human being and just get back healthy. And all of them, same thing with Jericho Sims, anyone that's in the protocol. So I'm looking for,
everybody.
I'll wait till we get into it, but I'm a little concerned. I have some concerns going into this game.
Before we get to that, obviously the person who was calling you does not watch this show.
Jay Boogie. It was Jay Boogie. I looked at it real quick and I was like, saying, Jay Boogie, I'm right in the middle of something. Can't do something, but
man.
But I will say, we back on Christmas. If you haven't listened to it with Cully and Papa Left, listen to it. But Boogie, I'm busy.
Oh man, that's actually.
We're not closing the show just yet. We just started.
Yeah,
exactly.
We just started. Yeah, it's a late start for you guys. For me, it's just it's 4:00 here in LA, and it's the first sunny day we've had in quite a while. It's been raining constantly, which I actually love because we have drought issues here. But and also actually made me feel like I was in New York with all that rain and all those clouds for a while, which I actually do. I miss the city so much. Hey, let's get into it. Here it is. So, who's going to step up while Randle's out? So right now, it's looking like he's going to miss at least through the second game of the home and home back-to-backs between the Celtics and the Knicks. So the first game possibly he'll return for will be the San Antonio Spurs game at MSG, and I believe that's January 10th. Not 100% on the exact date, but that's the game. If not, maybe one after that. So there's about 5 games. There's a 5-game window for Thibs to try and find out what this team is without his quote engine. So the first thing I want us to focus on is the obvious, and we're going to run down the line because, like I said earlier in the setup, that I believe everybody's roles will get shifted in some form, except possibly, the centers. Mitch, he's like the one guy. His role really won't be altered as much. But even guys like, if he's healthy, guys like Fournier, he's going to get more touches. So everyone who's on the floor is going to get more touches. Let's begin first with who I'm assuming is going to start because the starting lineups have not been announced yet. I'm assuming Obi is going to get the start at power forward today. Let's discuss what is going to happen. What can we expect from Obi during this 5-game stretch? And we'll begin with Mr. Stephen Fox. J Boogie's booty call.
Yeah. Whoa, pause. Oh, you heard about the back phone. He was calling the Foxy phone. So, the thing with Obi is a lot of his game is dependent on other player, meaning whether a point guard or somebody sitting him for him to be the best he can be. So that's what I'm looking toward. There's 2 different ends of it. On the offensive side, my biggest fear coming into this, and it impacts Obi, is Kemba. I don't know if there's a revenge game, but the one thing that concerns me, I don't want to see the Washington Wizards Kemba, where, on stats wise, he had 44 points and 9 rebounds and 8 assists, but he was almost half of the assists for the night, 17. So I don't want to get rid of one guy, Julius, for ISO ball, and then bring in another guy who's just going to do ISO ball, meaning Kemba, and ruin Obi and not pass the Obi and ruin that rhythm. So that's one of my biggest concerns. And also, if we see Taj tonight more than we thought because of Obi, it's because of him, Thibs not trusting him on the defensive side of the ball, that he's missing defensive assignments and he's going to, yank him and put in Taj.
Mm-hmm. Quis, the ball is in your court now.
Foxy brought up a good point with Taj because I was a little nervous. They did announce that Obi was going to start, but they didn't. I don't know if they released the full starting lineup.
They did announce that? Because
they did announce it. Yeah,
Berman tweeted it. I saw that, but I was nervous because you never know.
Maybe Berman has blocked me. He's got me on silent mute.
Maybe, you never know. But I was a little nervous because you never know. If Thibs doesn't 100% trust Obi, he's paying him 11 minutes some nights. He could have decided to start Taj.
If Thibs doesn't trust Obi by now, we got a big problem, people.
He's only playing 11 minutes some nights. I would call that trust issues.
Yeah, we could always say it's because Julius is in the way and he wants to.
He's in the way, but he's not playing good. So why won't you make the switch?
Because
Yeah, I'm with the
That's
Keys
why-
on this one. It's trust issues, George.
know, but now he's not.
Now he has no choice, It's one of the side effects of COVID is forcing Thibs, I guess, to do things he might be a little bit uncomfortable with. And that's something we're going to see tonight with Obi inserted into the starting lineup. But I think Obi should have a solid game. I'm excited to see the chemistry, like Foxy said, between Obi and Kemba, to see if Kemba can find that pick and roll sweet spot that he did with Mitch, because Kemba and Mitch looked pretty good in pick and roll. So I expect Obi to get a good serve into that with Kemba, and let's see if he can continue to attack the paint aggressively and continue to up his 3-point shooting. I think when we first started talking about Obi and his 3-point shooting, it was 13% or some crazy number like that, and over time he's worked his way up and got that shooting number to a little bit more respectable figure. But I expect him to have a solid performance, and this is going to be a moment that is going to answer a lot of questions for Knicks fans. It'll allow us to see what we have in Obi once he's given substantial minutes. So I'm excited for this game. It's unfortunate it has to come, at the detriment of Julius and his playing time due to be coming down with COVID. But that's happened to a few players on the roster. We saw RJ have to go down, and everybody was excited to see what Grimes can do. And I think this is a similar situation. So hopefully Julius Randle can come back healthy, and if he can come back and see a blueprint laid out with the ball moving, constant ball movement, constant energy, if he's able to come back to that, it's going to be hard for him to revert back to the Julius Randle of old. So that's what I'm looking for in this game, for a blueprint, a guide to be set for Julius Randle to just step in once he has to come back.
Oof, I like that. I think it's gonna be really interesting to watch how Thibs handles this thing. Actually, he's the most fascinating person in this whole situation to watch from my point of view. And like you mentioned, he might not trust Obi. Honestly, man, I'll lose my mind if that's the case. This is ridiculous. This is not. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back to my second team All-NBA, who was my engine who got us to, the 4th seed last season, in the 4th quarter, because I trust him over Obi. Okay. And they can't, and in his mind, they can't play together on the floor. Okay. But that's gone. That's been removed from the equation. So to say that you're going to trust 37-year-old Taj Gibson to start over this guy, Obi Toppin, who's electrifying basically every game he's out there, he gives us a highlight.
But on one side of the ball.
And not just one side of the ball. Exactly. Defensive. Even if he makes mistakes, well, guess what? Who makes the most mistakes on this team right now?
The guy in front
of him. Exactly.
Door number 3.
You're preaching to the choir, George. We all agree with you, but
exactly.
Actions speak louder than word, and we see what Thibs is doing with the rotation. So that's the only conclusion I can come down to. We've seen moments where Thibs has pulled Obi for a bad play, and they've even gotten into it back and forth. Not really back and forth, more so Obi just trying to get a better explanation as to why. So we've seen it throughout this season. I think right now Thibs really doesn't have a choice. I didn't expect Taj to start, but knowing Thibs, that was in the back of my mind. You never know with him.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Well, as far as the defensive issues, whenever Obi has been on the floor this entire season, no matter who with, the team is only allowing 103 points per 100 possessions, which is good enough for 91st percentile. So this argument that Obi, you sacrifice on defense when Obi's on the floor, is ridiculous. It doesn't hold water anymore.
Yeah. And to that point, shout out to Tommy Beer. He said with Julius on the court this season, the Knicks are allowing 111.1 points per 100 possessions. With Julius off the court, they're allowing 99.5 points per 100 possessions. And on the other side of the ball, the Knicks, in the last 5 games, though, they're averaging 99.4 points per 100 possessions with Julius on the court and 124 points per 100 possessions with Julius off the court. So, maybe those things, if that's not an anomaly and true trend, we should see some good things with Obi in there.
Wait. Say it again.
So over the last 5 games,
yeah,
the Knicks averaged 99.4 points per 100 possessions with Julius on the court.
I thought you said allow. I thought that's how I got mistaken. So yeah, they score 100. Score 99. Yes.
And they score 124 when he's not on the bench.
Those are very damning numbers for Julius.
That's just the last 5 games, but the other one I think is even more damning for the season, that with Julius on the court, they're allowing 111 points, and then when he's not on the court, 99 points.
Yep. Yeah. So the whole notion that, he might have been nicked up, or maybe, the COVID was taking him, ruining those last 2 games, kind of like slowed him down. Well, how does it explain the rest of the season? Has he been? So I think this is an awesome opportunity for Obi to finally prove that he can be a starting power forward in this league. And it's great all the way around. It's great for the Knicks in terms of he enhancing his value, whether that means we hold on to him or whether that means he becomes someone that other teams covet, and maybe they throw us some interesting assets in exchange for him. But either way, he's going to get a chance to come out of the shadows of Julius Randle and see if he can really, really excel, become that Amari-esque type guy that I think a lot of us in the Knicks nation think he has the potential. Obviously maybe not at that level that Amari was just one of the most intense, fearless, low post scorers I've ever seen, ever. But Obi's got some of that. He's got a little more finesse, actually. He's a little more of like a ballet dancer in a way, and he's able to redirect at the end. I really like his game around the rim, but he's not obviously the fierce, aggressive finisher that Amari is, but he's got aspects of it. So it's nice. It would be nice to see him really come out and deliver some big, big numbers in the time that he's going to get.
Hey, if Joe Johnson's playing, could we bring back Raymond Felton to help him?
No.
What I want you to do for Amari, Obi, what you did for Amari.
That's right, man. Hey,
let's just lose 65 pounds first.
Yeah, right.
I want to take this moment to salute to the chat. Thanks everyone for joining us. Geraldine MacGyver, thank you so much. I think you tweeted something out earlier. We're gonna discover how much we miss Julius. We're gonna miss Julius. Hey, we might discover that. This is something true. This is a very legitimate thing that also might happen.
2010-5, man. You can't.
Obi may not be ready. Obi may still need to be potty trained. He may not be ready to take off the diapers. And we're gonna find out, and that'll be that's important to learn. Either way, we're gonna learn stuff that we desperately need to find out, and this is a good time of the season for us to do it as well.
Mm-hmm. Soft spot in the schedule.
It's a little laboratory
affected by COVID.
Yeah, it's a soft spot in the schedule, and we have enough games behind us to know what kind of team we kind of are right now. And so now we're going to get enough, like 5 games to find out what kind of team we can be. So let's move on to, let me ask you, like, what kind of, before we move off Obi, what kind of offensive production do you guys see Obi, or just in general, doesn't have to be offense only, but what kind of production do you think we could expect from Obi tonight? Let's just focus on tonight. Quis.
I'm expecting a solid showing from Obi. I think Obi can go out there and have a game where he's 16-8, 16-7. Solid stat line like that. I want to see how he looks with Kemba and in the pick and roll. If they are able to have that same chemistry that we saw Kemba and Mitch have, I think he can probably get you 20 tonight, operating in the pick and roll, being found by Kemba. But we have to see if Kemba got his legs back under him, and we also have to see how Obi performs out there on the court. But this is not a difficult Thunder team. So like I said, I expect Obi to go out there and show us signs that he's ready to take the next step.
Foxy.
I go back to Thibs is not who starts, who finishes and who plays a lot in the game. So it may be awkward him in the starting lineup, but you don't know. A short time into the game, he'll be playing with his regular guys again, whether Q and other guys that he knows their moves, Burks and other things, so that he's comfortable with them. So starting and playing the duration. So I think Quis is right on target. He averages a little over 8 points a game. So extrapolating that, I could see him with a 16-7 type of night tonight. So, but all I want to see is what we saw with the second unit and with the kids. Those passes, those hockey passes, the ball moving around the horn, best shot, unselfish play, and I think Obi's down for that. So I'm excited that we're going to get a win tonight.
Can I add a little bit more?
Yeah, of course.
Want to see some of Obi's play?
The only time limit we have is the game.
Surely,
Is the game.
certainly.
I want to see a little bit more of Obi and his playmaking as well. Obi looks solid when he's the one causing the defense to collapse and then finding his teammates. So we saw that a few times in the last couple games. So I want to see some more of it.
Honestly, he's been more effective getting the ball out on the wings and driving than Julius has. You know, that's, I mean, just the eye test. I haven't pulled up numbers on that, but just the eye test.
He's making quicker decisions once he gets into the
much
game,
quicker.
for sure.
No hesitation. You know, and if he doesn't find the opening, he passes the ball right out, which is what I love. He doesn't hold it until he gets double teamed or tries to split the defense and causes a turnover. I mean, of course, he does have turnovers here and there, but he doesn't do it nearly at the level that Randle does, or at the low level.
If he did, he'd be on the trade block. He doesn't have that much pull.
Exactly. I predict Obi will have a career high tonight. I think he will get 20 points at least. He may even get more. OKC sucks. So if he's starting, all they got to do is feed him, you know, I mean, and you know, when he's on the court with IQ is going to be looking for him constantly because he's going to want his guy to flourish. I mean, everyone.
I was going to say what else. I think he's a much better passer than people see, Obi. So I hope he's in a situation, whether at the pinch post and things like that, put him in a different situation where he can show off his passing chops.
Absolutely. He actually is. He is.
He
actually,
is.
You know who else is also a decent passer and he doesn't get any credit for it is Knox.
He is. And I think you brought up a great thing. Hopefully, we talked about it off the air that I thought he was going to get some burn in Detroit, but it makes all the sense in the world to give Knox some burn, man. Come on, let's see. You know, he missed his chance with the COVID. Give this kid another chance. So many head coaches.
Shout out to the Knox Hive. Tonight might be the night.
He should be the backup four for this game.
Absolutely. And you know what? Because they have no forwards and everything, I could see a small 4 or small 5 lineup with Knox in there with Obi and stuff like that. So I think we could see some really unique lineups tonight because they have almost no forwards on that team. Everyone is out.
And we only have 2 centers. We only have Mitch and Taj.
Exactly.
And they're both, actually, Taj is more so foul prone. So Taj could pick up a few, 3 or 4 fouls pretty quick. And then we might see like a small ball lineup, and if it all works, whoa, the Thibs going to have a lot to make decisions about. Let's see here. To the Knox Hive. Yeah, I expect Knox to get some time. At least, maybe not necessarily tonight, because you never know, but over these 5 games, I imagine he will get some time, especially since he played well in those few games that he had a chance to play when guys went down with COVID.
Down he can shoot, boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got 103, 105, 106 now in the chat. That's awesome. Hit the thumbs ups, very much appreciated, and subscribe here into the Knicks-Verse and to Sports Vibes TV if you haven't subscribed yet. And we do the pregame shows. We alternate every other game. We try to, unless scheduling conflicts impede us from doing that, or hangovers. All right.
Can I do a couple of quick shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys.
Yeah, I see a couple of friends in there I haven't seen. First, Sincere, the Genius, hope all is well. D Nice, Happy New Year. Somebody that I haven't seen in quite some time, D's Ballin'. I had some really good sessions with him in the early days, one-on-one. Guy who knows his hoops, have much respect for him. Great to see you, D, man. Also, our guy, Hardwill, another guy with Electric Tates. Hope all is well. Happy New Year to you and your family. So just wanted to say a quick shout out to those guys. And never forget Hair Force One.
What are the best names?
Yeah.
Hey, shout out Lex, Sincere. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us, man. All right. The next guy that I want to discuss is in this image here. Mr. Rowan Barrett Jr., the number 3 pick of the 99 draft, is now going to, he's actually, isn't he the longest tenured? No, other than Knox and Mitch, right? He's the 3rd longest tenured Knick right now, I believe.
That's a frightening stat.
Yeah. So what's your vision of? Well, let me phrase this in this way. Quis, what would your wish be for how RJ is going to handle these next 5 games?
I mean, if I got my wish, he would blossom into a superstar in front of our eyes over the next 5 games. I think with Julius Randle out, we're going to see RJ be asked to do a lot more. And it's going to come down to whether he can carry that burden. If he can carry that burden, then that's going to be extremely big for the New York Knicks, because that means we would have hit at number 3 and RJ would have been performing to a level that we can say, all right, let's invest in him. And you would hope over those 5 games he'd be able to carry throughout the rest of the season and when Julius Randle returns. But I mean, if you look at the numbers, we don't really do that great, I think, when we run the offense through RJ. I know at times it looks like it does, but I was looking at the stats when it comes to RJ and his usage. The Knicks are 10-10 when RJ has a usage rate over 20%, but then we're 5-3 when RJ has a usage rate under 20. And then I was looking at it for the usage rate at 25%. Knicks are 3-6 when RJ has a usage rate over 25%, but we're 12-7 when RJ has a usage rate of 25% or less. So the numbers tell me one thing, but my heartstrings are trying to ask for something else. So to see RJ out there on the court without Julius Randle and being a focal point of the offense, I want to see if that changes with the numbers I just provided. Because, you know, yes, RJ is playing off of Julius Randle a lot of times, so we're not really seeing him in, I think, his natural environment. So now with the ball in his hand, I think we'll see a little bit more of the RJ we expect, or the RJ that we're going to see over the next few years, and then we'll be able to make a decision off that.
Cool. How about you? Well, before we move on to that, what do you actually realistically expect then? These next 5
realistically
games, right? Yeah,
I expect him. Well, I want him to come out of his little funk or whatever the case may be. We've seen him perform well here and there, but I want to see a stretch of solid play. It doesn't have to be elite play, but I want to see him go out there, shoot high percentage. I want to see him knock down his 3, 37, 38%. I want to see him start finishing a lot better around the rim. If he goes out there and gets me 22 points, plays solid defense, 6 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, and I think that's a great showing from RJ Barrett. But I would like to see him go crazy. Let's see some 30-point performances from RJ. We've seen it already this season, and we invested a high draft pick in RJ, and I want to start seeing some results. So if he goes out there and drops 30, that would be phenomenal. But realistically, I'm expecting around 20 points. Like I said, 20, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists.
Cool. Okay. How about you, Foxy?
I think it's going to be interesting. Dort's a very good defensive player, so I think it's going to be a very good matchup for him. Hopefully he's getting his legs back for him coming back from COVID and the protocol. And I think it's a really good game. And also just watching the game the other night and a few games before that, there was some real weird dynamics going on with Randle on the court. A couple of plays where he looked off RJ when RJ was all alone.
Sorry to interrupt you, Foxy, just for a second. Knicks say Kemba will not play tonight versus OKC.
Deuce with the start.
We don't know yet.
Yeah. You think
we don't know yet?
Did they say why though?
No. This was a big Ian tweeted, he said a previous tweet now deleted, misidentified Walker's injury. Apologies for the error. So we don't know why. Sore left knee. Fred Katz just texted.
Yeah.
So then
that's what 40 minutes the left knee was the bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
40 minutes will do that to you.
Yes. Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
So you guys don't think Deuce will get a start? You think he'll try the Burks experiment again? Or you think he'll start quick?
That's a great question. But before we go to that, I want to let Foxy finish his RJ.
Apologies.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Definitely want to get on that.
No, I was just saying that there was some weird dynamics going down prior to Randle going out, where Randle looked him off and just to, if in fact IQ looked a couple of guys off, so there was some weird dynamics on the whole team. Not really some guys playing the ultimate team ball. So with Randle out, let's see if the ball moves more, and let's see when a guy's open that they actually pass to him and not take not the best quality 3-point shots or other shots. So hey, we're only a few games away from the halfway point. I think RJ is poised to finish the season strong, but I can't tell you how much I'm disappointed in this third season that we're halfway through the season and he's shooting around 33.6% from three, and his assist numbers, and I thought he was just going to be at a much higher level this year, and also his handles. I was really looking for his handles to get a lot better this year for separation, and we've talked about Quis.
It seemed like in the beginning part of the season his handle was tighter than it was last season. Then now I feel like it's kind of gone away a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't. I saw the better handle. He had that 5-game streak where he looked tight, using his 3-level scoring, going to his right, finishing with his right, hitting mid-level mid-range jumpers. That's everything rather than just settling for catch and shoot threes. But this is the time now for him to pick it up for the season, pick it up for the team, and pick it up for the fans to, let him know that, he was right to be taken at the third pick. Everybody as a fan, you're saying a third pick, you should be all-star caliber level. And he's not playing anywhere near an all-star caliber player.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's been a lot of total busts. At the third pick, even the second
know, but
pick.
We're due for some luck.
RJ, I know, but we have to let go of that, because at some point you're going to hold a guy to a certain level of expectation. Meanwhile, he's given you. So let's say, for example, the best he could be is Mikal Bridges. What are you going to shit on him and trade him because of that? No, Mikal Bridges is a piece that you contribute to a championship possible team.
I don't think he'll ever have the defense of Mikal Bridges ever.
I totally disagree.
That's cool.
I totally disagree. Mikal Bridges is 3 years older than 4 years older than RJ. Mikal Bridges wasn't the defender he is now that RJ is at 21. So let's just temper the expectation of what he should be at number 3 pick. And I totally, I hear you. I'm bummed that we ended up with the number 3 pick, not the number 1 pick that year. But we would have gotten stuck with Zion. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have, overeaten the way he has, and he would have played more.
There's a lot of good food in New York City.
There is a lot of good food, a lot of good women. So who knows what could happen? But,
not necessarily in that order.
Exactly. But you know what I mean? I got a feeling a lot of the issues in New Orleans is his lack of desire to play for the franchise. That's just my own feeling about it. It's not anything I can pin to specifically, but we got the pick we got. RJ has the potential still to be that kind of sub all-star kind of level. That could be a ceiling, not maybe he can crack the top 40 players in the game at any given time, top 35 maybe. That could be his ceiling, which would still be a really, a really good piece. Now, is that, number 3 pick level? Unfortunately not. However, you never know with this guy. He's still incredibly young. And, he also has been dealing with some issues in terms of his teammates last year. He had to deal with Elfrid Payton and then the whole Randle situation. He actually responded very well last year in terms of what he had done in the rookie year, and he leveled up because he was, angry that he wasn't on any of the all rookie teams. He felt dissed by that. So, he's able to respond. He has a leadership quality about him, whether it actually manifests itself eventually into a true leader. This is the time to see it. I think that's what I'm excited about these 5 games, as much for Obi as I am for RJ. So we get to see what he's going to be like.
I have a question for Quis and for you. Do you think his psyche is hurt at all this year? Because first of all, he's playing much more small forward. He hasn't played any, in fact, number 2 this year. He's all small forward and 4. But do you think his psyche's hurt that if you look at the team, Julius is one ahead of him in terms of options? Julius and Fournier and D Rose and even Kemba in the first part of the season when he first started, that he thought of himself as a much higher option. Now you're bringing in these free agent guys and everything, and I'm still not looked at as a number 2 option on this team.
I don't know about his psyche, but he's not taking trash talk. That's one thing we learned from the last game.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that highlight?
Yeah.
With Anthony Edwards?
No, not Anthony Edwards.
No,
he was talking with the fan.
One.
Oh, with the fan. Okay. Yeah.
McBride will get the start.
Good.
Knicks PR just announced. So we got our dream. Deuce McBride.
Thibs' hand right now is behind his
point
back.
guard of the New York Knicks. Wow.
Oh, man.
Hey, to finish, I'm sorry, Foxy. What was your question again? Oh, yes,
Just
I do think
his psyche.
I think it has messed with his psyche, especially when he had that nice 5-game, pop when he popped for those 5 games.
Yeah.
Those 4 of those games, he was averaging 26.3 points per game. Yeah, I think there were grumblings back then about him being featured in the offense. I think Julius didn't have such a great reaction. And because RJ defers to Julius, they sit next to each other all the time, the whole Batman and Robin thing from last season. I think he kind of like maybe regressed a little bit. Not regressed, but kind of took a back seat to Julius because he didn't want to bruise his ego. And so I don't know. I think there were mental issues going on, personality issues going on. I do think that has affected him to some degree, which is against his nature.
Yeah, that's
he's
what
an
I'm
alpha.
about to say. He shouldn't have those type of psyche issues. He's the one. He has a leadership profile to me when I look at him. So I don't think he should be kind of thrown off by the fact that you've got players that have come in and kind of taken his position or his role on the team. And we're also asking a lot more from RJ this season. RJ is being tasked to guard the opposing team's best perimeter threat. So you add all that together and you could understand why there's going to be some regression in RJ's game. You would just hope that he'd be able to power through, buckle down, and show us why we were so happy to get him at 3. So it's unfortunate he hasn't been able to step up so far, but the season's still young. He's got time to recover and turn things around. So
yeah. Just to point something out about RJ, because you pointed out about when the ball's in his hands doesn't necessarily translate into points and whatnot, and you're right because I've seen those stats. However, RJ in the fourth quarter is very different. RJ in the fourth quarter last season, he shot 47% in the fourth quarter, all shots. That's his high per quarter. It was his fourth quarter was his best. He shot 44% from the 3-point line in the fourth quarter. Also, his best percentage of each quarter. This year, it's the same exact story. Actually, his 3-point percentage isn't the higher in the fourth quarter than it is in the first quarter this season, but it's close, 38% to actually 40% from the 3-point line in the first quarter. But the fourth quarter overall field goal percentage, he's at 42% this season. That's his high. Now, that's low, but that's his high. So it just shows that as the game goes on, the stakes get higher. He actually is able to meet the challenge. And I like that about him. We've seen him string together 3 or 4 buckets when the Knicks need it, or even get that 1 or 2 clutch 3 when we need it. So he's got that aspect in him. Unfortunately, his lack of outstanding athleticism does hurt him. So we'll see if he can overcome it through basically just technique is what he needs to really develop. So let's jump on the Deuce story. Deuce is starting point guard. You guys,
Yippee!
Foxy, this is your dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I love my Deuce. I'd still just a little waiver that the kid's still back only a couple of games from COVID. So it's a game of rhythm. So it's going to take a few games. We saw he didn't score any points the last game, although he was wonderful on defense. That was, showcased in his plus minus for the game, but it's still going to take him a couple of games to get back his rhythm, his shooting rhythm, and his, other things. So be patient, but I'm looking forward to watching him play with the others. And he's a smart kid. So I think he'll go with the flow and he'll do the right thing, move the ball to the right person.
Yeah. How about you, Quis? How you feeling about Deuce getting the nod?
This is a pleasant surprise. Coming into this live stream, I don't think any of us expected Deuce to start. So now we're going to log off, jump into the game, and see what this guy can do for us. I think all of us expect Deuce to play a certain level of defense. And at that point guard position, we haven't been able to get consistent energy and consistent defense from the point guard position game in and game out. So to have Deuce in there and to know that we're already going to get that, I think it allows the other players out there on the court to, not take a breather, but relax a little bit, knowing it's not going to be a constant attack or constant penetration into the paint. And we've got Evan out there. He's a liability on defense. So to have point guard secure and to have Mitch protecting the paint puts us in a much better position. And you can see from the game, from the last game against the Pistons, even though McBride isn't scoring, he's still finding ways to make plays in other areas. So for him to be out there and able to get this experience, to get this start, I think it bodes well for the team. And right now, Thibs has his hand tied behind his back. He's being forced to make these moves. So hopefully these young guys can go out there and just make sure that Thibs has positive film out there. So when he's put in a situation where he has the option, he gives him a little bit more of an impetus to go with the young guys. So that's what I'm excited for tonight, for them to go out there, put out some positive tape for not only Thibs, but for the fans as well. So when things start going left, the fans can hold his feet to the fire and let him know, hey, we got these young guys on the bench like a ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any word yet on Fournier?
Fournier is starting.
Oh, he is okay. Because I was just saying to myself, if he wasn't starting, we'd really be seeing a picture of the future. If it was Deuce, Grimes, RJ, Obi, there'd be futures now, man.
Actually, hashtag free Obi posted this. It's Deuce, RJ, Evan, Obi, Mitch, which I think works for Evan. Actually, the defense is there. I think this is a good lineup for Evan. He's the only weak defender,
defender,
in those five. So that was the major issue with Kemba and Evan as the starting backcourt, man. Just you can't have two severely minus defenders, and when they're not hitting their shots, it's just a double whammy. It puts so much pressure on RJ. There's more pressure on RJ there has been defensively than it has been on Julius, and ironically, Julius is the one who's responded even worse. In my opinion, with the body language, the not getting back, the whining to the refs while a play is going on at the other end, like things like that. We haven't seen RJ do any of that. We've seen him get cooked. We've seen him get burned on back doors, things like that. But a lot of times it's because he's over helping. He's shifted over further than he wants to be from his guy because guys like Evan and Kemba can't keep their guys in front of him. So it's been a bigger burden on him. So tonight having Deuce out there is really going to help. Really going to help.
It's interesting on that second team. So based on what we're seeing from Free Obi, the second team could possibly be IQ, Grimes, Burks, Knox. So we'll talk about zone busters. That's a 3-point shooting second team, bro.
Yeah, baby. Boom, boom. There we go. Launching it.
I mean, we're talking about so how many minutes is Deuce going to end up playing now? Because we don't really have a legitimate backup point guard. Well, we got Quick
30 plus, that's for sure.
IQ and Burks will share some of that
making duties with the second unit.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? A 9-man rotation?
Yeah. I see a 9-man tonight because we don't have Sims, we don't have Nerlens. And who else are we missing? That's it, right?
I think Selden.
Yeah, just those two.
Yeah.
He tweeted the other night. He's in protocol. He was tweeting during the game.
We could do the stats, guys. How about we do the stats? All right. These are the stats of the last 10 games for the Knicks and the Thunder. The Knicks are 5-5 last 10 games, which is a lot better than what we were seeing earlier. Remember when it was 2-8? Ooh, that hurt. They're only averaging 101.6 points per game, but they're holding their opponents to under 100 points in the entire last 10 games. That is awesome. Finally, a plus differential. This has been minus for over a month now. So now it's a plus 1.7. Rebounding's up to 45.7, but the assists are still low 21.2. The field goal percentage is still low, 42%. But when you look at the Thunder, they're obviously they're total disaster right now, but they have won 4 out of their last 10 games. So, kudos to them for that. And they're averaging more points per game. Yeah. For that. Yeah.
They won 4 out of 5 last week. Then they dropped 2. Yeah.
Yeah. But look how many points they're allowing. 108.5 points per game, differential of minus 5.6. They're an active rebounding team, 47.5. Assists are low, just like us. And
low, they're last in the league. They make us, they're 29th in field goal percentage, 30th in 3-point percentage, 28th in 2-point percentage, 25th in foul total, 30th in assists, 24th in steals, 29th in points. So, folks, we should beat the hell out of them. And that's and that's the numbers with the guys that are their starters. A lot of the guys that are not missing tonight. So they have G League guys. So on top of that,
yeah. So we keep saying we should beat these teams, and we turn around and at the end of the game we're disgusted.
Yeah, that's crazy, why we're disgusted. That's why we're disgusted.
Well, we'll find out tonight from an energy perspective.
Being down 14 points to the Pistons was just completely that was just like, what the hell was that, man? That was ridiculous. Man, and really, it was the second unit that came in and saved it for us. That was maddening. But now we know that, in that game, Julius definitely was not feeling himself. We know that for sure because he came down with COVID I think that night, right? Or the next day.
The next day.
Yeah.
But like around noon or something like that.
Yeah, it was early. Yeah. So we know his excuses, but what was the reason for the rest of the starting unit? Jesus.
I'm looking forward to Mitch feasting on the boards tonight, though.
Facts.
Yes.
Offensive boards.
Yes. Actually, Michael West is a good point here. One thing, we can't take G League guys for granted because they play hard. They're playing for contracts. They're playing for relevance in the NBA, not just for the squad that they're playing for, but for any other team that might need somebody. So this is true. They're not there to they're not the Harlem Globetrotters opponents, the Generals.
The Generals, yeah.
Yeah, they're not the Generals. They're not here to make us look good. They're here to make some money, to get the bags in some form or another.
They said it on the broadcast. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard, and that's exactly what we saw in the first quarter. With the starters. Yep.
Well, here are the season averages. Points in the paint, we are way below OKC. You can see that right there. Second chance points, though, we're up on that, and we're up on fast break points, which is kind of a shocker. It might be the only team that we have more fast breaks in the NBA. I'm not sure, but we're averaging 105 points per game. Overall, they're only averaging 100 points per game. This is definitely, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you slice it, if the Knicks play competitive basketball tonight, they should win. Do you guys have any score predictions?
Not score prediction, but one of the things that was on my mind in the beginning of the year when I was doing draft talk, I had a couple of sleepers. One was a kid named Benedict Mathurin that went back to Arizona, and he'll probably be the second wing off the board this year. But my other sleeper was a guy named Aaron Wiggins out of Maryland. And he was taken in the second round, 55th by them. And he's playing well, man. So I'm just saying to myself, I hope he doesn't join the list of guys that have career games at the expense of Knicks this season so far. So, folks, if you see Aaron Wiggins go off, don't think of Foxy.
I think, let's see, I think we're finally going to break 100. I think we should score. We should get about 110 and maybe keep OKC under 100. So this should be a nice, comfortable win. Maybe like a 90, maybe like a 110 to 97 type score. That's what I'm looking for. How about you guys?
You think Burks is going to be the man again?
Oh, another 30-point performance?
Well, he's the quiet guy. I love those quiet guys that just show his
silent assassin.
One thing he does it on the court. He hasn't strung together too many big games in a row. You have a big game, then you have like quiet, kind of productive, and then he'll have another big game. He doesn't like follow them up back to back. Which
they're 24th on 3-point defense, so hopefully him and others eat.
Nice. Hey, shout out to Bodega Wi-Fi. Good to see you, my friend.
Oh, I love my bodega.
Yeah, man. Let's see here.
I like my bodega too. Go get a chopped cheese.
And Rick
I don't want the Dominican version. I want the OG version. That salami repeats on me, man.
Berman tweeted out, Walker did something in warm-ups. Thibs thought he was playing tonight.
So he must have tweaked. He must have tweaked something while he was warming up, and that's the issue.
Or maybe something. Maybe the knee stayed tight. Maybe it's, I don't know.
I thought this was going to be
Kemba did something. What does that mean? What did Kemba do?
I don't know. You know these Berman tweets.
The whole. I would have preferred if he said Kemba tweaked something, and then we would know. But did something ominous, right?
Too cryptic, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know he had it probably circled like, I want to show those guys for giving up on me. I thought he wanted to do them up.
I don't feed into the revenge game narrative. They gave him a bag and told him go where your heart desires. You should be happy with them.
Yeah.
Chilling out there in the tumbleweeds in Oklahoma City, and now he's under the bright lights in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I know. They did him a solid.
Yeah.
They
did. A boatload of money and said, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Hey, let's get those thumbs ups, guys. We much appreciate it if you guys are in the chat and you haven't hit the thumbs up button. That'd be awesome for us. All right. There was something else I wanted to touch on. But the other guy that I think is going to benefit from not having Julius on the floor with him is Evan Fournier. I think he's a guy who needs the ball in his hands. He needs to be productive. That's just his style. And now Kemba's not even going to be on the floor. So this is going to be interesting. How do you guys see maybe Fournier responding?
Want to take a Quis? All right. I was just going to say, make it simple that if Taj is in there, at least Fournier is going to know a proper screen set for him versus Randle. Some of the dribble handoffs from Randle to Fournier and some of the screens by Randle for Fournier have been abysmal, man.
Yeah.
So if Taj is in there, for damn sure, he's going to set a proper screen for him to get his shot up.
Yeah, that's actually been one of the positives, I think, from Thibs' viewpoint of having Taj on the floor with Julius and Mitch. Remember when he went big like that?
Mm-hmm.
Because Taj sets screens. Mitch, sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But Julius has lost total interest in setting proper screens, at least up until now.
And also the passes. His passes are here. His passes are there, but they're not there for the guys to get it right into their motion.
Yeah. If he benched Kemba for tweets, why he didn't do the same to Mitch?
Kemba tweeted? What did Kemba tweet?
I don't know. What he tweet? We surveyed 100 people. And salute to you, brother. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, give us some info if you know any of the dish of what he did.
Yeah, I'm pulling up Kemba's Twitter now. Let's see what happened.
Let's see what he said. This is a good one. I think this might be truer right here.
Self-preservation?
I do think that Walker didn't want bad shooting in 4 games in a row.
You could see his legs from all those minutes he played. His legs were tired. And, we're old school. The shots hit the front of the rim, tired legs.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That just seems, he's 31, right?
He's 31. Yep. And D Rose is 33.
I don't know. I had a tremendous amount of energy when I was 31. I get it. He's injured, but
he's 31 with the knees of a 38-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little different.
Yeah.
He's not 100% healthy.
Yeah. So what do you think is, before we log off here, Quis, what do you think is going to be the most surprising thing that Thibs is going to do during these 5 games?
The most surprising thing, continue to have faith in the kids, because I could easily see moments where Thibs decides to run Burks into the ground, play him extended minutes, throw Taj into the situation, play him extended minutes, and play Fournier for extended minutes. So I really want to see Thibs lean into and embrace the play the kids movement. I think those guys are going to be important to our core. And right now, everything is kind of set up for them to succeed. They're not going up against elite talent, so they can get acclimated with the NBA or get into a rhythm, because they're coming off of COVID, a lot of them, and they're also coming off of periods where they didn't get, regular play time. So now with guys unavailable like Julius Randle and going up against teams that don't have their full roster available to them, I think they're in a good spot to flourish, and Thibs should continue to play them extended minutes, and hopefully they can get into a nice little role and help us as we try to climb in the playoff race.
Mr. Fox.
I agree that, he's had a real quick hook with Obi, and a couple of times, you're like, man, the kid couldn't get into rhythm. Now he doesn't have any leverage. He's going to have to leave him in there. So even if the kid makes, and it's part of the game, and make a mistake or two, leave him in there, let him work through it. Because the one thing we know about Obi, if he makes that mistake, there's nobody on the court that feels worse than Obi, and he wants to make up for it. So let him get some more burn, let him work through those mistakes, let him get his rhythm, and, let's reap the rewards of that.
And he's got the athletic gifts to recover after his mistakes.
You're not kidding.
So like you said, he's dedicated out there when it comes to trying to make up for bad plays.
Yeah, one of the few on this team that has athletic gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so
unfortunately.
True. All right, well, we've hit the 8 o'clock hour. I was gonna say here it's
Happy New Year in Australia.
Somewhere.
It's New Year's Day somewhere in the world.
That's
right.
Gotta
figure out where.
And right off I get off this thing, it's gonna be New Year's Day. Woo!
Well, Europe is
6 hours.
6 hours from you guys, so it's getting close. It's only an hour away from it there. Yes, let's
probably somewhere in Russia is already New Year's Day, right?
If you ever been to Russia, every day is New Year's. Nosorovia. Give me my vodka.
Hit the thumbs ups, guys, please, for you guys here. I'm actually going to echo Quis's surprise move. I will be surprised if Thibs leans in 100% into the young core, the kids. I will be surprised if he does. I do think that he might fight it. He might fight it. But tonight, it'll be hard for him to fight it because there is no Kemba. So, Burks he has to play anyway, but no Kemba, so Burks, so Deuce gets to start. So that kind of shows that he's willing. He could have started Burks.
Or IQ.
But he decided to start Deuce, which you guys remember, we've been talking about this for a while. Well, I know Foxy and I mostly. I don't know about you, Quis, but we think that the Knicks organization actually have been grooming Deuce to take over the starting lineup spot for the point guard position. We think they've been grooming him to that. They sent him to Westchester to start getting a lot of minutes, a lot of burn down there. And they like IQ with Obi. So with Julius around, Obi's not going to be in the starting lineup, so IQ has to stay in the second unit so he can play with Obi and maximize that chemistry that they have. So then D Rose, unfortunately D Rose is out. Who knows until when? Mid-February, hopefully. But in the interim, I don't think they thought Kemba was going to respond the way he did, and then he did respond. And my feeling is I didn't think it was lasting. I didn't think it was going to last. And now we're seeing it already. He's already had 4 pretty mediocre shooting games, and now he's out tonight. So the Kemba resurgence may have fizzled out here. So the whole thing is perfectly set up for Deuce to just step in right now. However, Thibs is stubborn. Thibs is stubborn.
Yeah, but the beauty is his defense is it's boring and fantastic. So even if he has 0 points or his offensive game, Thibs is gonna have a smile on his face what he does on that defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you guys have a wonderful new year. I hope next year brings lots of joy and happiness and good fortune to everybody and good health. And I hope that our team really turns the corner, begins tonight. Tonight is the beginning of a whole new era potentially for our New York Knicks. We actually have a tremendous young core. I think still one of the best young cores in the entire NBA. And now tonight they have a chance to prove it. It's all on their shoulders. Can they carry the load? We're going to see. All right, guys. Happy New Year, Quis. Happy New Year, Foxy. I know we'll be talking all night long.
Chat as well.
Yes. And Happy New Year to the chat.
Salute to the chat. Love you, family.
See you guys in 2022.
See you Sunday at 8.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you Sunday, too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. And we'll probably do a pregame Sunday. We'll see. That one's TBD. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And we'll be seeing you around next year in the Knicks-Verse.